Let's all scream. Let's all scream. Scream, let's all scream.
Hi everyone and welcome to Let's All Scream. I'm Shehlaa Ali
I'm Hassan Al Marashi.
And I'm Saleh Al Braik.
and this is our 5th episode. We do apologize if the audio seems a bit different in this episode. It's due to social distancing. Saleh wasn't able to come over today, so we're actually just recording and we have him on the phone.
Yes, I am reporting live from the moon right now. But like Shahada was saying, we're basically trying, obviously the city's on lockdown, so we're doing the best we can to stay consistent, giving you guys the episode every Tuesday. And so this is the best we can do right now.
Yeah. So how are you doing, Saleh, with all of this?
I'm doing okay. I think a lot of us are kind of adjusting to the new norm.
Yeah.
I always tell people that there's something that I read the other day where it says that everyone should be productive during this time in quarantine, and that everyone should be learning a new language or a new skill, and that if you don't learn anything, you either lack discipline or you're lazy. And I found that very absurd, because I think to myself, this is the first time we're all going through something as big as a pandemic, and so I think all of us should take it in our own way and process it day by day. So I say, you know what, be productive, don't be productive, just do you. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think there's no right way to be in a pandemic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think we should judge anyone.
Yeah.
And I actually read an article similar but the opposite, saying don't fall for the pressure of
Staying on top of things?
and not just staying on top of things, of being productive. And I think we all feel that pressure, maybe especially with work and stuff. But I think, like we've said, this is a moment in history. None of us have ever been through this.
Yeah.
Especially not our generation. So I think everyone needs to take it in their own stride.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I feel like when I've noticed is that I see memes online about everyone talking about being bored or watching too much Netflix or what have you.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, but I'm literally running on overdrive. I'm working more than I was working before, and so I wish I had time to chill on Netflix or even make a meme about being bored, but it's not happening.
I feel like that's actually with everyone, even with me, and with the baby, and just everyday life. I feel like I've not been able to catch up on things. Like, for example, when this whole thing started, I said, okay, I'm going to declutter the house. I'm going to do things that I haven't been doing and I've just been, busy with, and I haven't been able to catch up on things. And I actually, till now, haven't actually started doing anything, which is bad. But I feel like at the same time, whatever. I'm barely catching up with the everyday tasks, because usually I'm able to go out, distract the baby, even when I go to a mall or something, she's distracted for a good 1 hour or whatever it may be. But right now with just staying at home,
we're her only source of entertainment, pretty much.
So I feel like it's really starting to it's starting to pile up. And even I was telling Hassan, I'm just in PJs all day. And then even for this today, Saleh, you don't know this, I got up and I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to shower. I'm going to put on just a proper outfit and just feel okay, Saleh is coming over, even though he's not. And then, by the way, by the time it was bath time for the baby, she vomited, and I basically am in PJs right now. So.
Yeah, so it didn't work.
Unsuccessful.
Exactly.
Yeah, it didn't work out quite.
So even my attempt is it has failed.
For me, one of the things that I was really fortunate to do is I assumed that a lockdown was coming. So as you guys know, and some of the listeners may have picked up from the previous episodes, I moved in to my aunt's house. So my aunt's house, like you guys know, lives in her kids, or my first cousins, live around.
Yeah.
And the four houses have interconnecting walls. So I'm really thankful that during lockdown I can actually have company and be kept that company.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's funny because I'm reading articles from around the world about how some people are going insane being locked into the same house with someone.
Oh,
so
yeah.
my question to you guys is, how are you guys dealing with that? You're a couple. Are you guys like? Because I know, like Shehlaa, you're a freelance graphic designer, but you're a stay-at-home mom, so most
Yeah.
of your work is done at home.
Yeah.
And Hassan, you obviously work full time, so now it's a whole new dynamic.
That's the thing is for me, I feel like other than not going out and not being able to do the basic things, like usually for me, my tasks were during the week is doing groceries, doing, the main house shopping, other than like if I have graphic design work, it's just staying at home. And with the baby, it is just staying at home. So other than that, whenever Hassan works from home and because he's been working at home, that's where I feel like he's been ruining my system, because I feel like I really do have a system. Like sometimes when he'll help me with the baby for bath time or feeding or whatever it may be, I feel like my system is ruined, and I'd be like, when you're not here, I'm actually on top of things. And I actually, if I say by 11 o'clock, I'll be done with this and this and this, I do that. And I'm actually on top of it. Whereas when he's home, I'm not, and I get lazy and it just gets ruined.
So what you're saying
So
is
Hassan
that
is basically not putting much effort.
no, it's just, I feel like his presence makes me either lazy or distracts me, and I'm not able to finish my tasks.
So basically, you're saying I have full permission to just lay in bed all day, watch TV, not help out, and that way you'll get things done faster.
No, my friend. That's not what I'm saying.
I can imagine how like it does get, because like I'm a creature of habit, so I can imagine how you have your set schedule, and I mean for me, moving from going remote working was a huge adjustment for me because my routine had to change, my timings had to change, which caused a lot of. But I'm a single unit, so I can only imagine how when you're two of you, how that's sometimes difficult. But what about you, Hassan? Like, how was you adjusting?
So it's definitely been challenging. I won't lie. I'm a homebody by nature, so I definitely found it easier in the beginning to stay at home. I enjoyed it, but even me, someone who loves staying at home and someone who's quite introverted, after a while it does get to you. And people were asking me, oh, what's the first thing you want to do when this is all over? I was like, I want to go to the most crowded shopping mall, get stuck in traffic on the way there, looking for a parking spot, and then just like buy something that's not a necessity. So
it's like everything that you're basically told not to do.
Yeah,
right now,
exactly.
you want to do.
But no, relationship wise, I'm not gonna lie, we have bickered
Oh yeah.
quite a bit more. But thankfully, I think, knock on wood, we have a good dynamic going in a strong foundation there, so that helps.
We do have a good system though. Whenever we do tense up and whenever we do just not get into each other's faces, but whenever just tensions are high, so our system since day one was, okay, if we're a bit tense and we just need a minute or two to ourselves, this was usually either he'd go out with like either you, as or friends or whatever, or I just we'd go do our separate things and have a few hours to ourselves, but of course with this we can't really do that. So what we've been doing, to be honest, is either like the other day I needed a few minutes to myself and I'm just like, okay, no, I'm gonna go upstairs, I'm gonna take a long shower, I'm gonna just take my time upstairs, and then I'll come down Like I gave him, maybe I said I'll come down in 40 minutes, and that's what I did. Another time I remember he was also he needed a few minutes to himself. He went out to the garden and just walked around. He put headphones in, and I can see him just walking and jogging around in the garden.
By the way,
So-
this makes me sound like super healthy and stuff. That's the first time I've jogged in maybe a decade. So
But like that's what we've been doing.
Thank you for placing him in such a beautiful picture.
yes, thank you.
But yeah, that's what we've been doing. So like he went out, and I think the fresh air did him good. He came back inside. He was refreshed. I think, to be honest, to anyone listening, is just take a few minutes to yourself. We all need that, even with
Yeah.
not. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I liked what you said actually while you were talking, which is, actually, I'm not sure whether you or Hassan or both of you had said this, but the foundation part.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
Hassan.
I think that's a huge factor that goes into anything that you do.
Yeah.
As long as you have a good foundation, I think you can overcome a lot of things.
Yeah,
And
and
so-
it's look, it's such a cliche, but communication really is the number one thing.
Yeah.
And early on in our marriage, we made an effort to work on communication because we had problems early on, and
Yeah.
we went and got help from a professional.
Yeah, and actually, a lot of people, especially in this region, people say, "Oh, you actually went and got help," but I actually think it was very healthy, especially in the beginning of our relationship.
Yeah, because it helped us, set start on the right
Communicate.
path.
Yeah,
And one of the things that we got out of that, actually, this is something we agreed even before we went and sought help, was never ever going to bed angry with each other. Whatever issue we have, whatever problem
Yeah.
we're having, we solve it before we go to bed, and we try never to go to
and
sleep angry.
this will sound like not extreme, but it will sound okay, like you're that dedicated. But yeah, like even sometimes it's caused us where we'll be annoyed at each other, and then we won't solve it. And then I remember like once, like at 2 a.m. or something, and we were still both awake. And I'm just like, okay, you know what? No, we just need to get this out, and just hash it out, and let's just talk. And so we sit there and we'll talk for like an hour or two or whatever.
And it's
however.
not always that we completely resolve the issue,
No.
but it's just we dissolve that tension,
Yeah.
and we're in a
Yeah.
good place, a neutral
And-
place where we can go to bed not angry with each other, but rather knowing and refocusing on the issue itself.
Yeah, and I think the main important thing is what I like to think that we do is, like he said, it's not like we solve the issue, but feeling like your voice is heard and your opinion and your side is heard, and then the other person will say, okay, I understand where you're coming from, but this is where I'm coming from. And we'll find like, okay, you know what, we're both in an understanding that this is both sides, and then we'll go to sleep. We won't find the solution right away, and Saleh, I think you've witnessed a few. We won't find the solution right away. It will take us sometimes like a few days, but just to have that communication open really does affect the balance of the marriage.
I think one of the things that, actually two things I wanted to point out, we're just going to backtrack a little, is one thing that I love that you guys just shared is the fact that you sought help in the beginning. And I feel like a lot of people out there need to hear this.
Yeah.
We obviously come from, and probably one of the big reasons why we started this was to showcase, Middle Eastern voices on global perspective. So the whole idea that seeking help is considered a taboo in many cultures, including our own, and being frowned upon or being seen as a weakness, or something that that you lack faith in. I think a lot of marriages, and not just marriages but relationships, whenever there's something that is there to fix, usually people try to easily tell you to have more faith, which yes, faith does hold a huge foundation of a relationship, but I believe that I'm a huge supporter of seeking help, so very proud of you guys for sharing that and for being kind of like role models in it. And another thing that I really liked what you said was the whole getting it off your chest right before you go to bed. For me personally, I think when I first heard that from you guys know me.
Yeah.
I'm a person. I'm a person where I unfortunately take my feelings to bed.
Yeah.
Um,
I
I
think.
do end up.
Sorry, no, go
Sorry.
ahead.
Yeah, I was saying I do end up, waking up feeling better, feeling lighter. I think a lot of people always say, there's that old saying where it's like, oh, you just go to bed and you'll feel better in the
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah.
But I felt that I don't feel that that's healthy, and so I usually, because I find trouble sleeping whenever there's something on my heart, and so after listening it from you guys, I've actually started practicing that in my own life, and I hope that more people listening to this would do that, because the relief you get, like you said, it's not that you solve it in that one instance, but
Yeah.
how like, going back to you guys, how much better do you guys feel after doing that?
Yeah, no, you do feel much better. And to be honest, as of recently, I've actually been trying to work this into not just my marriage, but into all my relationships, where I,
Yeah.
even like with my parents, my sisters, even friends, I try, if there is any tension or any conflict, that okay, I think this is the most, in my opinion, it is one of the most healthy ways, is take a few minutes, hours, usually it's hours, to yourself. And sometimes, of course, that my family doesn't live here. So sometimes if I do get into an argument with my mom or my sisters, we'll close the phone, whatever. I'll wait a few hours by like evening time or something. I'll pick up the phone, hi, and I'll like start it with like some lame joke, just trying to ease the tension. And then, so usually, not always, we both talk it out, and then we're fine, at least like for the most part. So I do try to do that. I'm trying to do that now as well, more. And I feel like that's really helped in my family relationships, and even just relationships in general. Is trying to have that mindset, and try to
Improve the communication.
yeah, and yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. For me, it's really been good as of recently, Annie.
And you mentioned, Saleh, earlier that we were talking about getting professional help and going to therapy, basically. So for
Yeah.
me, luckily enough, with my family, they were very supportive of therapy early on, and especially my mom. And I don't know if it's because my dad's a doctor or something, but my mom especially was very encouraging. And so I think that helped. And obviously every family is different. But in a
Yeah.
way, I don't understand that stigma. I mean, it's not that I don't understand it, and I know that it's there, but I don't get that stigma that, it's taboo, or it's aib, as they say in Arabic, which means shameful, to go for help, because I don't think it means your faith is any less, or whatever. For me, it's the same thing as when you break an arm or a leg or something, and you go to the doctor and you take painkillers for the pain. Obviously, your arm or leg is probably going to heal on its own without the painkillers. They don't help the healing process per se, but
Yeah.
they help you not suffer through that process. So
Yeah.
for me, I see it in a similar way.
Yeah.
It's a profession. It's a
Yeah.
medical profession, and you're going to ease your suffering. Why go through life? And yes, maybe things will turn out fine. Maybe that issue that you're dealing with will get resolved, or you'll come out of it. But why suffer through that when you can go and get help and find the tools to cope with everyday life? I don't
Yeah,
think there's
and
anything wrong with that.
and actually, I've not only have I heard that mindset, but I've also heard of people that just say, "Oh, but it doesn't really help," or "There's not really, I don't see a difference," or "I don't see the point of going." I'm like, but it actually does help. It helps organize your thoughts. It
And you
helps.
need to want the help, number one, and you need to give it time. You can't
Yeah.
just go to one session
Oh
and
yeah,
expect
definitely.
miracles. And
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think,
just
sorry.
to disclaimer, it's not like our issues were so massive but I think that's the key, is you don't have to go when things are so damaged and so broken.
Yeah.
We went and we were quite stable. We were happy. It wasn't like there was anything fundamentally wrong.
Yeah.
But I think it was setting
Yeah.
the right path
think-
from the beginning is what helped.
I think in the beginning the problem was just, again, going back to communication. There wasn't. I remember in the beginning, for me the problem was I wasn't communicating how I was feeling, and so I know this is going way deep into it, but like communication is the key with all relationships. And as long as you sit there and you actually give that relationship with your family, with your siblings, parents, give the relationship effort. If you give the relationship effort, you're going to see progress and you're going to see a change.
Yeah. I wanted to mention, and you guys brought it up, and since we're speaking about the family topic as well,
Yeah.
like, for example, personally, alhamdulillah, I grew up in a positive household. Alhamdulillah, I've been blessed with great parents who I'm very fortunate, and you guys know them personally.
Yeah.
Hassan considers my mom like a second mom, and we literally grew up together. So, and my siblings as well.
Yeah.
I am the eldest of 4 boys, so we had a huge dynamic at home. Each of us are quite different, but overall, I'd say that alhamdulillah, I believe my childhood and my upbringing were done in the most best way that was possible. But even with that, it just goes back to the communication that you had. I
Yeah.
always remember that between my parents or even my siblings, whenever there were problems arising, it drills down to that communication. And I remember, and I think maybe quite a few male Arabs out there
Yeah.
would relate with this, is the dynamics between them and their father figure. You would have the ones that are very close, and then you would have the ones that may not be as close. Now, when it comes to my own personal journey, my father was and still is a great role model for
Yeah,
me. And
alhamdulillah.
every time, you guys know, whenever I'm asked this question about who do you look up to, I always bring my father
Yeah.
up in the story as an example. For me, it was mainly something that I realized whilst growing up, was that I had this need to want to communicate more. My father growing up was not someone who would communicate on an emotional level, and that was something that I had required. So very much like you, I did seek help, but not in the sense of knowing that was the problem. I actually did not know. And at the time, I was quite young. This is probably back when I was 19. And so after going from session to session, trying to drill down to, what my ambitions were and where I wanted to go and what I was dealing with, it kind of drilled down to the communication between myself and my parents, specifically my father. And then, like you said, it was a long journey. It wasn't something that was done overnight.
Of course.
But it was so funny that how once we broke down the communication barrier, and I know it's sometimes very daunting and scary to think of, especially if you can relate, to think of opening up to your parents and kind of wanting to speak on an emotional level. So for me, that was kind of daunting because me and my father are very much on a professional, formal, but also there wasn't very much love there. But as soon as I did that and I unlocked it, and the reason why I was supportive of what you guys were saying about seeking help was because I had done the same way, and I don't think without that I would have ever managed to break that barrier. And alhamdulillah, much closer and such a much healthier relationship than it ever was before. So I think it does really depend on the dynamic. I'm not saying that everyone should seek help, but communication is really the most important thing to keeping a relationship or a friendship alive.
No.
And I think also what's important is, even because sometimes even if you have a support system, everyone's like, yes, you should do it, or you yourself think you need it. Sometimes you think of it as a luxury, and you think like, oh, okay, you know what, I don't really want to waste money on this, or there's more important things that I need to deal with. Honestly, if you work on yourself and your mental health and invest in that, it can go a long
Yeah.
way, and it can help set you up in so many other ways in your life. So I think if you are able, I know obviously everyone has their priorities, and it might not be now the right time to do it for you, but definitely make an effort to consider it in the future,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it can help massively.
I think even if you don't do like, let's say, okay, someone who isn't able to go to a therapist, but working, and there's so many platforms online, there's so many books out there that can also help you with this
Yeah.
kind of situation. So let's say that you aren't able to go to a therapist, you can always spending that time to look within yourself and look within your relationships, and to strengthen those bonds. I think helps a lot of us to realize that we're not alone in a lot of things, and even the way we think, the way we do everyday tasks. So yeah, I think that really helps.
I think also, and especially on that note, it's it's exactly what you said. When I kind of broke that barrier of the communication between myself and my father, I realized that he wanted the exact same thing, but
Yeah.
didn't know how to communicate it to me, and I didn't know how. We were just on different
Yeah,
wavelengths.
and people express themselves differently, and they express how they love differently, or how they express love differently.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I think one thing I wanted to also bring up is, and it was on top of my mind since we're talking about this, is the idea of friendships. I know we always talk about friendships, and people really love to throw around the words, my best friend, or, my acquaintance. But what do you guys feel like? Do you think there's a secret to friendships, or what is their secret recipe of keeping friendships alive, just like ours, as a huge role model?
I mean, other than you, no, I'm just joking.
I mean, you all need a Saleh in your life.
Yeah, basically. But I think with me, look, there's so many different friendships that come and go, and I know, Saleh, you were we were talking about this a while ago. Also, is just friendships come and go, and you just have to know.
when it's worth putting the time in and the effort in, I think,
Yeah.
going back to what we were talking about, not going bed angry.
Yeah.
You can apply that with your friends.
Yeah,
But at the
exactly.
same time, you have to also, in the bigger picture, I mean, look at whether those friendships are worth putting the time into. Are you getting anything out, or not necessarily getting anything out of them? Do they add to your life
Yeah.
in some way, or are you always, after that friendship, are you always feeling drained, less than, run down? If that's the case, then maybe it's time to reconsider.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And
I think.
yeah, sorry, go ahead,
Sorry, go
Saleh.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that, for me, and you guys know this, I have removed the words best friend from my vocabulary completely, or my
Yeah.
dictionary. Um,
Well, I mean, you did
I
introduce the first episode with "I'm sitting here with my two best friends," so
Oh my
Dun,
God.
dun, dun.
This is awkward, guys. But no, but
no, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like my mantra moving forward in life, and I'm almost turning 32. I believe that my mantra in life is I like to use the word constant. And what I mean by that, and here I go very much Bill Nye the Science Guy. If nobody knows who that is, please Google. But here's where I put a bit of science into it. I feel like we are our own solar systems. And just like a solar system, you have your meteors coming by, right? They're flying by, and they're there for a period of time. And those are people that walk into your life. And they're there for a reason, by the way. They're there to teach you a lesson about something, about you, about the world, something that will make you grow. Whether it's a tough lesson or a happy
Okay,
lesson.
Oprah, I love this metaphor. Like,
We're living for it here.
yeah.
Wait, I have a point.
Yeah, sorry.
Basically, it could be a sad lesson, a happy lesson, and so on. However, I do believe that there are people that have been sent that are constants in your life, and that no matter what, you may not always be talking every day. You may
Yeah.
not be seeing each other every day.
Yeah.
You may not, you may even, by the way, drift apart at some point and even fight at some point and argue, but
Yeah.
you are always going to be in each other's lives. And
Yeah.
that is a constant. That is something that will never leave. And that's what I prefer to use. So
Yeah.
I myself have a few constants in my life. And honestly, just for, the fact that we're sitting here, you both are huge examples of that.
Yeah.
But I do think that friendships is something that people put too much power in, which sometimes is the reason why they
Don't
in their
work
mind
out.
end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
Exactly.
think what you were saying makes complete sense. And I actually saw something on Instagram today or yesterday saying that, you can be annoyed at your friends sometimes, but doesn't mean you want to end the friendship. Like, it's okay to be annoyed with each other or not like something that they did or whatever. It doesn't mean you want to end it. You still love them, you still care about them, but this happens like with any other relationship.
Yeah. Well, definitely with me too. I would say I definitely have, like you said, constant friendships in my life right now. And they're just people, like you said, I have, for example, one of my friends, we became friends when we were like, I think 6 years old. And till this day, we're friends. We both took very different turns in life. And like, she's in Canada and she's still we're both married now, and we both have actually one kid, but we don't talk every day. We don't talk actually even once a month, but the moment we
Yeah.
do talk, we catch up and we talk for whatever hours it may be.
Like you've seen each other.
Exactly. Like we just saw each other like
Yeah.
yesterday, and we just pick up where we left off. And so it's very nice to have that kind of, like you said, constant relationship that that any moment in time I can pick up the phone any day and I know that she's going to be there for
Yeah.
me. I know that if I need anything or if she needs anything, we'll both be there for each other, and we'll always just stand by each other.
On the other side of that, though, I do want to say I don't believe in holding on to friendships for the sake of history. Like, I know
Yeah.
we've all had those friends or something that we've been friends with for ages, but just,
Yeah.
you either drift apart or you have different priorities, or either you or them just doesn't become a positive influence on the other.
Yeah.
Either, they're too negative or they're draining, or, you're just not in the right headspace
Yeah.
or something. And
Yeah.
I think it's okay to let
No,
that go.
Definitely. I definitely agree. Where one point I was saying is that, again, we're different. Like, I moved to Iraq and then I moved here. And she's right now in Canada. But again, we both have a lot of similarities. Her baby was born a few months before our baby. So like
You
we
relate on that note.
yeah, but like we were able to, just like when we picked up when I went to Canada, right away we were able to pick up where we left off because we're both on similar wavelengths. So there is similarities. There is a bond that's still
bond.
there. Yeah.
No, I wasn't talking about this specific
No,
friends.
I know,
I was
but
just talking in general.
yeah, that's what I'm saying is that I agree with you on that note though, is that there are relationships sometimes where it is just history and that's all it is. There's
Yeah.
nothing more moving forward.
When it comes also to friendships, it's people sometimes that's the thing, and we touched on this, is we always think it's when you realize you're drifting for someone, people panic, and that's something that's very normal. When you are, you're growing up, you change. You're not the same person you were yesterday,
Yeah.
and you can't expect
Yeah.
others to be the same. And like you said, Hassan, even if it's a long-lasting history, it's fine to sometimes let these things go.
Yeah.
Again, when you say that you're letting go, it doesn't mean that you have any ill will towards each other.
Yeah,
It just
exactly.
means that you're different people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
On that note, though, I wanted to ask, with this whole self-isolation, quarantine, whatever you want to call it, how have you guys found, has it improved your relationships or made them worse? How have your relationships changed? And I mean in general, any kind of social relationship. So like for me, for example, I find like with my family relationship, it's gotten closer with my immediate family because obviously we're communicating more.
Yeah.
And then with even like relatives that I haven't seen, like we've started doing Zoom calls and stuff. And you know, with my relatives that live abroad, that's been the case. And so I feel on a family level, it's gotten a lot closer.
Yeah.
With work, obviously, I don't see my colleagues as often, even though we talk daily pretty much during the work week. But I don't necessarily. But even with that, I feel like because people like now we have a WhatsApp group where we didn't before, so I feel like people are making jokes and showing a bit of their more of a personal side. Yeah, exactly. Whereas you know, in the office is very professional and it kind of you keep it at that, which is fine as well. But yeah.
Yeah, even with me, I feel like you said, the Zoom calls with your family have been really, really nice. We do it like every 2 weeks, and we just open Zoom, and it's with the aunts, uncles, even the cousins, and it's really nice to just see everyone come together.
Yeah, and to connect.
Because literally, I don't think we've everyone's been together at that level where it's
I mean,
almost
I think
most
the
cousins.
last time we were all like in the same place like that was for our wedding.
Yeah, which was like 6 years ago. So it's really nice to see everyone like communicating
And for
and
a
talking.
lot of them, it was the first time that some of them saw the baby, other than photos. I mean.
Yeah, exactly. So that's been really nice. And as with my family are already in a different country. So
You guys are kind of used to this.
yeah, exactly.
Business as usual.
Yeah, there's nothing new. But that's with that. And my friends, I feel like with all of this, definitely, first of all, it's gotten me way closer with my mom friends because
You relate on so many levels.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, even I never knew that even a 10-month-old will start getting bored at home, and so that's something that I've been communicating with with the mom friends, and then with other friends, it's just. It's brought us closer also in general of just talking about me trying to get back to my old hobbies and the old things that I used to talk to them about. So it's been nice on both levels, actually.
How about for you, Saleh?
For me, it's mainly, I think, one thing that this has taught me, and I think is teaching all of us, is how much we value each other. Because once you strip the gym, once you strip the barbers, the salons, the shopping malls, the cinemas, you end up with human interaction. Yeah. And you know how they say when you are told to fast, you feel hungry? Well, when you are told to social distance, what do you feel?
You
like
crave.
You said you wanted to go to the mall. You wanted to be in a crowded place.
You crave social interaction.
Exactly. So I think what a lot of people are realizing is that crave for social interaction. And so a lot of us are doing things, not that we wouldn't otherwise do, but we're just appreciating each other more. Yeah. So it's actually, for me, a really beautiful time for mankind because I'm just seeing everyone come together in ways I haven't seen before. Yeah. And, you know, my colleagues are asking about me personally rather than just asking me about work. And my family members are connecting in ways that we haven't connected in a while. Yeah. And with the help of, you know, like the virtual online platforms, we're getting to be creative about how we talk to each other these days. So that's something I think that's really been helpful. So in a way, this entire quarantine lockdown has kind of connected my relationships and my friends and the constants I have in my life to be even stronger with the foundation. So I think, alhamdulillah, like I feel like it's been a good thing.
And to wrap up, actually, I do think that we should all use this time to reconnect with everyone and to work on ourselves and our relationships in general.
And we really hope you guys enjoyed this discussion. And don't forget, if you want to reach out with feedback or comments or questions, you can reach us on our email, letsallscream.podcast@gmail.com. or on Instagram and Facebook, it's @letsallscream. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.